Okay, let it. Well, hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Y'all ready to rumble? We have got Peach on the panel. We have got the famous Green Thumb Sean on the panel.
What's going on,
How are you
everybody?
guys doing?
I am body doing
I'm
good.
doing
How are you,
awesome.
Cat Lady?
I am doing good. Doing good. At least I'm home, thank God. Had a good one. So let's see who came first. Green Thumb was first. Welcome. It is everybody. Am I 5 by 5? Can y'all hear me good?
Your audio is spotty.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it always is when I go live now. Welcome, KP, Immense, Nosy,
Hi,
Sis.
everybody.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey,
So
everybody.
tonight will be questions asked for Green Thumb and Peach. Put her on the spot too. If y'all want to ask questions,
We gonna do
y'all
this
welcome
then.
to. We're going to rumble.
So, yeah, that's right. So, how it works, guys? So you guys know here, I'm filming on my iPhone, and I have a Chromebook running beside me to read the text. So I can read the text, but I can't reply to the text on it. Just so you guys know. So, but I'll be able to see what you're writing.
Okay, that'll work.
It's the only way
So,
I can do this because I don't own a computer.
right, right. So, if anybody got any questions about gardening for Peach or Green Thumb, I do. I got one Green Thumb.
You shoot. Go ahead.
I have. I need. I have got green, what they call scallop onions, the green onions.
Right.
What is the best method to make them grow bigger than the small little?
So you're talking about like the ones with the white ends on them, like the green onions you chop up in like fried rice and stuff like that.
Affirmative, affirmative.
Uh, so those are a bunching onion. So when you grow those, you want to put your little divot in the ground for like to plant your seeds, and I usually put about 10 seeds per hole because they like to grow in a bunch, right? Like when you buy them at the grocery store, you know how you get them in a bunch and there's an elastic band around them. They were grown
Yeah.
like that. So and essentially you're growing the
Hmm.
tops, right? You're not too worried about growing the white part on the bottom.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I and those are great. I grow those in succession. I plant some seeds. I wait about 3 weeks. I plant some more seeds, and I just keep going like that across. I tried to plant some downstairs, but they didn't work out too well. What's the best seed starter soil? Um, right now, I'm using ProMix Moisture Mix. Uh, I've blended that up with some other ingredients for some of the pots, but some of the things I just planted, I'm using straight up ProMix Moisture Mix. If you're going to be planting stuff outside, it's a little different than like right now. So for you guys that don't know, in my basement, I have a winter greenhouse I built. It's almost 12 feet long, 6.5 ish feet wide. So if you're going to grow stuff inside, you're going to want a different sort of mix. But for general seedlings, I'm using ProMix Moisture Mix because it has nutrients already in it. It has mycorrhizal spores in it, which is fantastic because they spread out in your soil. It has perlite in it for aeration, and it seems to work okay. I just don't like it for the fact that it can make a little bit of a crust on the top of your soil. So if you're trying to germinate little seedlings like lettuce, I think that's why my lettuce didn't germinate properly, because it made like that crust on the soil after I'd watered it a few days, and I don't think the little lettuce seedlings were able to push through that crust. So I actually haven't found what I would kind of call my perfect soil starting mix yet. I haven't found it, and I've tried multiple different kinds of things. So yeah, but anything with
Oh,
lots of perlite,
what?
you want it really light and fluffy. So generally a peat made product. Promix HP is good, but there's no nutrients in it, so you'd have to throw some perlite in it and then feed it with some vitamin or with some fertilizers. That's an option. Promix HP comes in a white bale. I love that stuff. That stuff is great. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Um, how, how good is black cow fertilizer?
Uh, that's fantastic stuff, right? Especially if it's been composted. Because when you're composting something like that, you're just supercharging it with aerobic bacteria, which is going to fight off the bad bacteria, creating a much healthier compost. It's full of nutrients, it's high in nitrogen. It's not a hot manure after you've composted it anymore, right? So you could put that right in your garden. You could literally just use inches of composted cow manure as a top dressing on your garden and just grow right into that. If I had a farm and I had cows, I would have a monster
Oh,
pile
okay, that's
of
good.
composted cow manure.
Yeah, I'm I'm trying to get it enough like that. I mean, the pile's already the manure and the stuff I got from all the animals about as tall as I am, but I'm having to watch it because it smokes like it's wanting to catch on fire, and I have to
It'll
water it
get hot.
down so often.
That Yeah, it will. It'll get and that's the aerobic bacteria are literally making your pile. Logan, please let the dog in. um, the aerobic bacteria are literally creating that heat. That's strictly bacterial action and they will set, they'll set. Whoa! Hi guys, this is my new dog, Chrissy the
Oh,
Student.
look at
Yeah,
that doggy. You're pretty.
you guys want to see the dog? Come here, dog. Pulled my charge cord out. Hang on. Getting all personal with the camera. He just ripped my charge cord out. Hey, hey, come here.
Oh,
Up, up.
oh, he's so
Oh,
Yeah,
pretty.
that's
Edwin's
that's
pretty.
that's Thor. He's a purebred border collie Burmese mountain dog. He's only 4 months old and he's 35, 40 pounds already. He's going to be huge. And he's
yeah.
hyper like crazy.
Gosh, he is a big
What's
dog
going on,
already.
Joe? Yeah, he's already a big dog. Yeah.
Welcome to see you here.
So yeah, if you the only thing you really need to worry
Loretta
about
said
with your
he's so
manures.
cute.
Yeah, with your manures, if you're going to put them in your garden, they pretty much break down into two types, right? You've got your hot manures and your cold manures. Things like chicken manure. If you're cleaning out your coop, you would not want to put that on your garden. It's way too spicy for your garden. It'll start to burn your plants. And things like cow
No,
manure isn't bad because it's just generally breaking down plant material, right? But the biggest thing, and everybody needs to keep this in mind, if you're buying or getting yourself horse manure and it's not from your farm, one of the things that's been happening a lot lately is mass ag is now spraying all kinds of fields with defoliants, right? Broadleaf defoliants to get rid of weeds. Farmers are spraying that on their fields where they're growing. Hey, you can't come that way anymore, please. Use the other door. And what's happening is that they're spraying the feed for horses and cows and goats with a broadleaf defoliant. And what ends up happening is the horses will eat that, the cows will eat that. It'll pass right through their digestive system. You take that manure, you try to compost it, and you put that in your garden. It will literally destroy your garden, like to the point where you will
Oh
have to
man.
excavate soil. Yeah, you'll have to excavate the soil out of your gardens and replace all the soil in your garden because it will kill everything. And I'm part of a bunch of homesteading Facebook groups and stuff, and this is a regular occurrence. Someone will be like, "Oh, my neighbor down the road offered me a bunch of horse manure for free, and I filled up my pickup truck and I put it in my garden." And they didn't ask the farmer if the horse's feed had been sprayed with a broadleaf defoliant like dicambia, and it will literally just fry everything. So what I did is, before I moved out
Well, I
of my
know
last
I
place where I,
ain't sprayed none of that stuff for my horses or
yeah,
goats or cows. I don't do that. All mine's natural. Uh,
good, yeah,
they eat natural foods. I will not put any of that pesticide in their bowl.
yeah, just spraying their food with poisons, right? I don't get it. I don't get it. But there's people out there that
I don't. I don't
they
either.
grow
That's
horse
the
feed
reason I
for
was
profit.
asking.
What's that?
Yeah,
Mm.
I said yeah. That's why I was asking because all mine is natural, and I don't
Yeah,
believe in putting anything that I wouldn't eat in my animals.
that's a good way to do it. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so with your manure, you just keep tossing that. If you have a tractor or when you get your tractor fixed, you can toss it. You can just keep soaking it, and eventually, it's just going to break down into compost. You can just lay that right into your garden, right on top. You can till that into soil if you till your garden. Some people don't till; they have a no-till gardening policy. I'm a no-till guy. Um, for several reasons, but some people they till their garden regardless every year. So I talk to them about it and I try to convince them not to till it. But some people they just my grandpa tilled the garden, my dad tilled the garden. I'm going to till the garden, and I'll teach my kids to till the garden. To each their own, I suppose. But I'm definitely a no-till guy. So if I did something like that
I
and I
don't till
applied
mine.
compost, you don't till yours, or you do?
No, no, no. I don't till it. What I do is when I go out there to plant seeds, I take the shovel, just make my holes, put my seed down. I mean, my tiller's been broke for the past 2 years, so I do it old fashioned way.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Absolutely. Now when I make a garden from scratch, I always till the ever living piss out of it. And then after I run the rototiller back and forth and back and forth, because usually I'm turning a piece of lawn or something into a garden, right? Where the ground is just as hard as concrete anyways. So I'll rototill that, and then I'll mix all my compost and other amendments that I'm putting into that, and then I'll rake that out into my beds. But then that's the only time I rake or I till my beds, and then I use a broad fork or a potato fork, and every spring I'll broad fork the garden, and that just essentially just loosens the soil, lets air back into the ground, which is beneficial for your solar or your soil microbes. And if you do that every year, you'll get to a point like when I left my place where I was living for 7 years in the springtime, before broad forking my garden, I could sink my hand almost up to my elbow into my soil. And that's just from years of
Huh.
making my soil better and better. I made my own biochar. I made my own compost teas. Right. I weeded. I mulched with wood chips. So I added to that garden every year. And If you add biological life continually to your garden, it'll get to a point like that too for everybody. You'll just be able to just push your hand right into your soil because your soil is just that healthy. And that's when, you can grab a handful of that soil, put it up to your nose and smell it. And everybody who's been gardening in really good soil, that rich, earthy smell. That's what you're looking for end of day, right? So
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. That's what I've been on because we've been having some bad weather, and I've been last year because all the stuff going on here. I didn't get nothing to grow good. I was lucky to get 3 cucumbers out of my garden. This year,
yeah,
I'm determined because we depend on this food. We need this food put back, you know.
I agree. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. It's going to be
welcome,
food.
Sherry Leach. Welcome. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, Sherry, what's going on, Hoot? I see you guys in the chat there. I just can't type for you guys that came in. I can't type in the chat, but I can read the chat on a computer that's right beside me here. So, yeah,
Yeah. And if y'all have any questions for Pam or just let us know.
yeah, Hoot. This is my winter attire. As soon as it gets cold, shave the mohawk back in, put the toque on, put the hoodie on, right? And I have the heat cranked up in my house right now to almost 30 Celsius. And you can tell I'm Canadian because I'm still wearing a hoodie. It's in the middle of the wintertime. We just got a foot of snow yesterday. So, yeah.
I
Yeah,
tell
it's
you,
going to be, it's
what is
really
30
going to be
Celsius?
important for
I'm
people to
sorry.
grow. 30 Celsius, yeah, that's what, 95 Fahrenheit or something? Give or take, I would guess, somewhere in that general area.
Wow. Wow.
The tube top look, Hoot. Can't do tube
Man.
tops. I can go put my orange work shirt back on. You guys have seen that 1,000 times. Working man.
Yep. Has anybody in the chat got any question for Peach or Green Thumb? Anything to do about garden, just off the wall, non personal stuff.
Yep. Throw it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cat lady, did you see my question in the private
But
chat?
yeah, I know I,
Who, me?
sweetheart. Let me look. Give me 1 second.
How do I close that?
Yes,
All right.
you can.
All right.
Yeah. So you
Thank you,
guys,
man.
it's time to get your gardens growing, right? We're getting
But
to that point of the year. Seeds are already getting sold out at seed distributors. They're having trouble restocking shelves. People are starting early this year. So what I'm doing is essentially I'm figuring
yeah,
what seeds I'm going to plant, and I am doubling my average seed order. So if I can't get seeds next year, I'm going to have seeds from this year. I might end up having. Do I have my seeds started? Um, who I have an indoor garden growing in the basement right now, but I haven't started anything for this coming outdoor garden season because I can't plant anything outside before May 2/4 weekend. Last frost, average frost date is May 2/4 weekend. Yeah. So I've got in the basement, I have 5 basil plants, 5 kale plants, 4, 8, 12, 16 tomatoes. Some of them are up potted in great big pots. What else do I have? I've got dill, parsley, 3 zucchini plants. I restarted my lettuce yesterday. I filmed that, but I got interrupted. My friend got in a car accident, so I had to run out and give her a hand. So I'm going to release that footage after for anybody interested.
Sorry about that.
Just me. Well, yeah, it sucks. My friend driving up the road right behind my house, the sun is like directly in front of you, and she didn't see the car in front of her because she was totally blinded by the sun because it's right at road level, and she rear-ended another car. She rode off the front of her car, so I had to go get her, pick her up, and drive her busted ass car back to here and park it in a parking spot for the tow truck to tow it to the wreckers today. So
Man.
yeah.
KP
What's
asked,
the best lettuce
what is the best lettuce? Good.
for a
Yeah.
pot? You know what? I don't really find a difference. I think really when you grow lettuce, don't grow it in full sun because it's going to bolt really fast. And for example, right now, I'm growing 4 different types of lettuce in the basement. I've got red romaine, black seeded Simpson, butter crunch, and some sort of frisee lettuce. And they're all going to go in pots. So, and lettuce doesn't matter how close you plant it, because you can plant lettuce, literally dig a trench, spread seeds, and grow a trench of lettuce. And just because lettuce is a cut and come again plant, so you can just grab the top of the heads of lettuce and shave it off 3 inches above the ground and just work your way down the line, and it'll just regrow right from the center in your garden. So it really depends also how you want to grow lettuce, whether you want to grow it super tight and thick, whether you want to grow individual heads and harvest the whole head. I'm growing several different kinds of lettuce because, like the romaine lettuce, I'm just going to peel the outside leaves off for sandwiches and stuff, and it'll just continue to grow out of the center, right? And it'll just continue. Some of the other heads of lettuce I'm growing specifically because I'm going to let them get full size, and I'm going to chop them down. And in the meantime, I'm going to have succession lettuce planted and have more lettuce just following those types of lettuce down the line that I plan on just removing the whole head. So, but you want really loose soil, and just and you can literally plant them as tight or as loose as you want to. It really depends on your purpose and how you want to harvest them. I'm like, actually, Hoot.
Yeah, Hoot out. Ask your question.
Yeah, so for you guys that don't know, I moved from a homestead on 5 acres back to the city. And my backyard is the size of a postage stamp where I'm living now. So last year, I rented 1,600 square feet of garden in a community garden. And that's where I grew all last year. So if you guys look on the wall behind me, okay, that is the running total of poundage of what I harvested out of the garden from last year. Let's see, get that in the camera frame there. So that's what I grew last year. My goal was 3,000 pounds of food out of the garden. I didn't get 3,000 pounds because I was expecting to get more potatoes than I got because we had a drought last year, and I can't water at that garden with a hose, even though I have a 2-inch water line at each end of my garden plots because they're 18 feet by 40 feet, and I have 2 of them that are side by side, and there's a water line run down the length. So I could only water with a watering can. Watering 1,600 square feet of garden space with 2 watering cans, 1 in each hand, is an hour-and-a-half process. So I didn't make my 3,000 pounds. I'm actually going to be doing a video on that. I'm going to add it all up and make sense of it because it's a huge mess. Yeah, Sherry, all lettuce is a cut and come again. It just depends on whether you want to do like a romaine or like a iceberg type lettuce or a frizzy lettuce, but they're all cut and come again. And you can do that 3, 4, 5 times until they bolt, or they just get too chewed up in the center by earwigs or bugs that kind of get into the middle. So it's really a personal preference. And also some lettuces, they're more cold hardy. Other lettuces, they're more heat tolerant and they won't bolt as fast. So I generally grow my lettuce either like at my last house, I had a fence that ran east-west, and my backyard was on the north side of that. And I planted my lettuce right at the base of that fence, so it missed all of the southern sun. And I had lettuce growing the entire summer. So you can take lettuce, put it in a pot, and grow it under like a maple tree, and it'll be happy,
Wow.
right? It does not. It doesn't need full sun.
Wow.
So yeah. Yeah, so Hoot, I have that
I
garden
know
plot again. I
what I
paid for it
did.
3 days ago. Pardon me? What's that, Cat?
What I did with these PVC pipes, I cut, the PVC pipes? I cut them in
Yeah.
half, and
Okay.
I drill small holes in them. And
Right.
before my well
For
broke
drainage?
down, I had what the water irrigation. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I run it in there so it waters them.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Irrigation
that
is great.
still a good idea?
Yeah. As long as you're not washing the soil out with irrigation. I grew at the homestead before I moved. I grew onions in a chunk of eaves trough. It was my eaves trough onion experiment, and they were some of the best onions I actually grew. Um, so yeah, eaves troughs are great. Lots of people grow and stuff like that, or PVC pipe. They'll grow strawberries, lettuces. You can grow herbs in there. Things that don't need like a taproot. Some of the plants that just kind of have like a thin,
Right.
broad base of roots. You can grow in there as long as there's enough soil and nutrients. You may have to fertilize them more often than not because they don't have as much soil to tap into to draw nutrients from. But yeah, it's totally possible for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I was here and I made feeding them too. And so I said, why not use some for the garden, drill them holes in there and just try it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Irrigation, especially like a drip irrigation, is probably, in my opinion, drip irrigation is probably the best form of watering your garden. Because like if you have the sprinkler setup where you see some gardens have it, it's like the steel pole that's 4 feet tall and there's a little sprinkler on the top and it just mists water everywhere. Certain plants like tomatoes, you don't want water all over their leaves because they'll collect mold. They'll grow mold faster, right? Cucumbers are the same, and half of that evaporates. You could run a normal sprinkler that does one of these, but you're still soaking your plant. And another thing too is you're watering the ground, you're watering your pathways, you're watering places where plants aren't growing. So if you have weed seeds that are there and they need water to germinate, if you're actively watering them, you're watering weeds that are going to grow in your garden. But if you run like drip irrigation, for example, like I grow square foot gardening, right? That's how I grow. So everything, no matter how it works out, is in a 12-inch by 12-inch block or a 6-inch by 12-inch, but everything breaks down into a 12 by 12 square because everything has a certain amount of spacing that you can use to grow in, right? When you grow in that method. And with drip irrigation, you can get like the PVC pipe and put the little tiny drip emitters in it, and you just insert them with a little tool. You can put those drip emitters as close together or as far together. You can put a drip emitter right behind the base of each plant if you want to, and then the water is just going to literally feed the base of that plant and the roots as opposed to the whole garden, right? And then you're not losing almost anything to evaporation because it's not getting blown away by the wind. You're applying it directly to the plants and the root systems that require that water. So you actually will use much less water with a drip irrigation setup than you will like an overhead sprinkler setup or system. So, but sprinklers are easy to set up. You run a hose, You stick the thing in the ground, you turn a valve on, and everything gets watered, right? Drip irrigation, you have to run it out. You have to have feeder lines. You have to install
Yes.
the drip emitters. Or another thing that works great for you guys who aren't watering large properties or large garden spaces are soaker hoses. I use soaker hoses for years. I wouldn't go any more than 2 lengths put together because you won't get enough pressure at the end. But soaker hoses come in 50-foot length, and you just run them down the base of your plant, curl them around, run them up the other bed, curl them around, and then you just hook a garden hose to it right up to the water bib on your house, crank it on, set a timer for half an hour or an hour or whatever you want, and then when your alarm goes off, go out and just turn them off. Soaker hoses are great for a smaller backyard garden. I recommend them, but eventually rats like to eat them, which sucks because then you have squirts of water shooting out your soaker hose instead of just kind of bubbling out through the membrane. Hi. Especially for people who are on a well, right? Like when I was on the homestead, there was a couple of times in the summer where I put the sprinklers on to water stuff and I forgot to turn them off, and the next morning the well was empty. So don't do that. Can pine needles be used for fertilizer, or should I just use it on top of the soil? You know, personally, I've never used pine needles as fertilizer. They're fairly acidic, so you have to worry about possibly altering the pH of your soil. If you're going to do something like blueberries, if you have like a stand of blueberries, you can definitely mulch that whole area with pine needles, and it'll acidify your soil because blueberries have a pretty high pH. I think blueberry soil is like 3.2, so it's pretty acidic. But I've never personally tilled pine needles into soil. For one, they take a long time to break down. So as maybe a ground cover or a mulch, sure, for certain plants, but I certainly wouldn't mulch or mix them into a soil where the plants needed something like neutral along the 7 area. I wouldn't put them in there.
I was thinking about rows of carrots. What's the best method for the carrots?
It depends. If you look at the way an agricultural farm works with carrots, they just plant them in one big long row, right? Because they're harvested by tractor. Are you hand picking your carrots? Are you going to harvest by hand? Because
we have to use it by hand.
I plant my carrots 6 inches apart, and I do 30-inch wide beds, and I do like 4 rows or 5 rows of carrots across my 30-inch bed, and I just trace a line with my finger. This year I did something different. What I did, I got a video on my channel if you guys haven't seen it. I took cornstarch and water, and I heated it up on my stove, and the cornstarch and water turns into like Elmer's glue consistency, right? But a little thinner. Take it off the stove, cool it down till it's fridge cool.
Right.
Put it in a Ziploc bag, and then I mixed all my carrots. Excuse me. I put all my carrots right in that cornstarch water mixture in the Ziploc bag, and then when I planted the garden, I've got a video of it. I literally just dug a trench with my finger and cut the bottom off the Ziploc bag and used it like a cake icer, or like a cake icing bag, and I just squirted it right down in the trench. And the nice part about that is all the carrot seeds are suspended in that mixture, so you can control how thick your carrots are coming out of the little hole that you cut. The harder you squeeze, the more goo is going to come out. The more goo, the more carrot seeds, right? But you're gonna have to thin your carrot seeds either way. But about every 3 inches per carrot and 6 inches between rows, and you'll be all right. What I do, excuse me, let me get a drink, guys. Hang on.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So another thing that I used to do before this year is I made myself a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of wood, half-inch plywood, and I measured out holes all the way in a pattern across this board. And each hole in whatever pattern, because there's multiple patterns on there because of the way the holes are spaced, different planting patterns use different spacing in a square foot garden. So what you can do is, for example, that one board I have with the different holes, I can plant 16 carrots in 1 square foot. So if you're doing 2.5 wide, because you do 30-inch beds. So the reason I do 30-inch beds is market gardeners do everything in 30-inch beds. That's standard. So all of the people who I watch who teach how to garden that are way better than I am, they all use square foot gardening methods, and they all do 30-inch beds. So they all have planting spacings, right? So if you plant the same spacing as they are, you're going to get the same result they are. So you can double, triple, quadruple the amount of food you pull out of a certain space than most people have any idea. Like, think about it. 16 carrots in a 12-inch by 12-inch section. You don't need a massive section of garden to pull in a huge amount of carrots. If all your carrots grow healthy, right? 16 carrots a foot. You can, with, a 10-foot long bed, you're pulling in 160 carrots just in a 10-foot linear section of your bed.
Wow.
And if you have that 30 inches
that's
wide,
really awesome. I
right,
didn't think
pulling
about doing it like that because,
do you guys want to see that board? I can go get it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a sec, guys. I'll go get it. Hang on.
I would love to see it.
Mhm.
He has got so much knowledge.
Yeah, he does. That
Dude,
he
I
does.
didn't either. I didn't think about the cornstarch and water. And I was surprised I could use that because I'm wanting to make 2 rows, an acre each row of just carrots.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right.
Oh, well, look at
so
that.
see all the different colors? So
Mhm.
all the orange ones would all be carrots. That's 12 inches by 12 inches. And then you've got the different colored dots, and they all represent a planting pattern as well. So all you literally do, because I'm thinking of making these and starting up a Squarespace store and making them out of like a nice pine or something so it'll be durable. So as you guys can see, with the different color patterns, so like this, the green ones would be 4 plants. That would be 4 plants per square foot. The blue ones would be in the 5 pattern, so you would have 5 plants in a square foot. So you would literally just take this, press it into the ground, give it a little bit of a flattening, right? So the soil underneath is flat because you want to make sure when you dibble this. So a dibbler is, for those of you who don't know, is, something like this, right? You would push it through the hole and it creates your little holes in the ground that you put your seeds in. So I have a dibbler that I use for this with measured increments on it. So you would just put this on the soil after you've raked your bed nice and flat, because it's got to be flat, and then just give it a shake like that and tap on the top. All the soil underneath now is flat with the bottom of the board. Let's say I was going to do these green holes here, right? I would just put the dibbler through 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd have my seed packet 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Lift it up. Move it right over to the edge of the flattened space on the next piece of soil. Give it a little bit of a shake onto the ground. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4 with my dibbler. Put the seeds in those 4 holes and move on. I don't have to get out a tape measure. There's no guesswork. I know exactly to the 1/4 inch how far my seeds are apart, right? Because this has all been measured. You guys can see the original marks when I was doing it all with the Sharpie, lining it all up. So if you guys are interested in something like this, in a better quality than just plywood. You know, if I get enough interest, I'll start looking into actually putting these together for spring planting, and I'll start up a little business, you know, and I'll send you guys a dibbler that's all measured, because certain things need a certain depth, right? So that's why you would have your dibbler, you know, 1 inch. The one end could be like a 1 inch, and the other could be a half inch for, let's say, like cucumber seeds versus carrot seeds, something like that, you know?
Heck
I'll
yeah.
take one.
Right.
Yeah, and they're easy to
Yeah,
make,
definitely
right?
take
They're
one.
not too, they're not complicated. You just need a drill and a board and a saw essentially to cut them out.
Uh, uh, Loretta goes, I want one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, maybe I'll look into putting something like this together.
See,
Because this, when I started planting like
yeah,
larger amounts of gardens, this thing was a game changer. I'm not saying this to sell stuff. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not running the business, but when I
Right.
made this, when I saw someone use this
right.
online on YouTube, and I'm like, I'm gonna make that. This thing, especially for things like carrots, right? Because if you're normally planting carrots and you just kind of make a trench, you can't come through this door. There's a bunch of people watching. No, go that way, please. My kids are not allowed on camera. It's a security thing.
Right.
So, you know,
I
when
don't
I
blame
first
you.
saw the guy make this thing,
I don't blame
see,
you.
and also like when you're planting carrots, you're not making a trench, pouring carrots down in a big line and having to thin them all. Then you're wasting, you know, carrots that are growing in between all of these. You're throwing away a half, 3/4 of the carrot seeds you planted. This way, the only thing you have to do is thin the carrots that are growing out of individual spots, which makes it a lot easier. So carrots,
Right.
beets,
Something like
spinach.
that would be a whole lot easier.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right? Especially like if you're anal like me when you're doing your square foot gardening, like before I made that, I was literally out there with a tape measure marking off planting all my seeds. So with something like this, you would have like a little guide on the back, you know, orange is carrots, green is celery, and so on and so forth. You would literally, and I, you know, put a little handle on the top so you can press it into the soil or whatever. But this made my planting speed probably triple because there's no more measuring. Put it down, dibble it, put the seeds in, move on, right?
Oh,
Boom, boom,
man.
boom, boom, work your way down the road. Yeah. Yeah, Loretta grows in all
You
kinds
know
of
what
stuff.
I
Yeah.
use? When I,
What's that?
what I use when I'm doing my I use, you know, these, it's like a rope, but it's got chalk. It's chalk rope. I've been
Mhm.
Yeah. Right? Like the
help me
snap lines?
guide a line for each one of my vegetables.
That's a good way to
And
do it.
that's a lot
Sure.
of
Yeah.
work.
And then yeah, because then you're putting pins on each end of your garden, and you're tying it off, and then you're walking across and measuring it and snapping it. But once you have that nice big long line, at least you have,
Yeah.
you know, your guide that you can just sort of plant along, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's what I have to do every time. This year, instead of 5 acres, I'm going to turn it into 10 acres of gardening. That I can
Yeah.
know that I'm planting enough. Because
That's
I got
going
to
Right.
to be
plant
a lot.
animal
That'll be a lot of food.
feed,
Yeah.
you know.
So when you do that, are you going to design your garden ahead of time? Like figure out where you're planting what based on like the height of the plants, so certain things are growing in the shade of taller plants and certain things aren't getting shaded. Like, do you have an idea of how you're going to do that yet?
Yeah. I've got a sort of an ideal what needs to go directly sunlight, what needs to shade,
Yeah.
and what needs
Okay.
more hours of the sun, what don't need more hours of the sun, what needs more watering, and what don't need more watering,
Yeah.
fertilizer,
Yeah, all that stuff.
and what don't need more of the fertilizer.
Yeah, because certain plants definitely, like tomatoes are huge feeders. They need tons of food. And certain other plants, they're just like, yeah, I got enough from the soil. I'm pretty good. Do you want to feed me? I'm okay with that. Yep. Who sells
Yeah,
Cuba melon
yeah,
fruits and
exactly.
what do they taste like? Cucamelon? Um, Cucamelons are kind of like a cross between a lime and kind of like a lime and a pear, a lemon. They're they're strange. They are super crunchy on the outside. They look like cucamelons, guys. They're about that big. They look like itty bitty watermelons, and they grow on a vine. Um, you can get those from Mi Gardener, and 5 or 10 plants growing will generate you thousands of fruit. It's literally going to grow a green wall, and they
Really?
just grow. Yeah, they're awesome. I grow them every year. My kids love them. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Mi Gardener sells them. They're also
I
called
ain't never
mouse
had none.
melons. Yeah, they're
I
good.
know who that is.
They're tangy. Yeah, they're tart. Yeah, they're called Mexican sour gherkins, mouse melons, or cucamelons. So it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Do I can them? I haven't to, but I did make pickles with them once. But I used apple cider vinegar, and the apple cider vinegar taste as they sat became like overpowering, and it got to the point where I just couldn't eat them anymore. So if I pickled them again, which you totally can do, especially when like you're literally, and I'm not joking, you grow 10 healthy cucamelon plants, you will harvest thousands of fruit, thousands, and they hide. So you got to trellis them 6, 7 feet tall and space them out, because they will turn whatever you trellis them into a green carpet so thick you can't see through it. So you'll be in there picking through, and the vines are like, the vines for them are like that thin, and they'll literally set a fruit
Wow.
every like 6 or 8 inches from little yellow flowers. Yeah, they're fantastic. Grow them on a fence, like on a chain link fence. Grow them on trellis. Yeah, but get them off the ground. Don't grow them on the ground. You won't be able to harvest them because you won't be able to get into the patch to pick and harvest, and the bugs will get all over them. You don't want that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like the blackberry and blueberries.
Yeah, keep them off the ground. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Hoot or Loretta? No, wait, who said that? Yeah, Hoot. They do. They look just like identical to like a little tiny watermelon. Yeah, about the size of a grape, and they've got a really crunchy outside
I
rind,
would
and you
love
just
to
eat the
try
whole thing.
one.
Yeah, I have some seeds. I'm gonna mail out some seeds to some people, so I can mail you some seeds. You can plant them. The seeds are a little smaller than a tomato seed.
Ooh.
So and then what you can
Oh,
do
wow.
is next fall, um, just leave some on the plant. Let them get really big. They won't get really big. I mean, big for a cucamelon's like that big. Let them get fully grown on the plant. Take them off, cut them open, squeeze the seeds out, spread the seeds. After you rinse the seeds off in a sieve in the tap, spread them out on a wax paper or a paper plate, dry them out, and you'll have more cucamelon seeds from 5 or 6 cucamelons than you'll be able to grow in a whole season. We're talking, 50 seeds per fruit.
Wow.
So, yeah. This year, all I did at the end of the season to get
Oh,
all my
that'd be
seeds
great.
is I
Thank
just
you.
picked up all the fruit off the ground. Hey, what's that, cat lady? What's the best way to harvest tomato
Well,
seeds?
that'd be amazing to grow something like that.
Yeah, they're great. KP, for me to harvest my tomato seeds, I let the fruit get like ripe, right? Like like just before it starts to rot. I'll harvest the seeds out of it then. And what I do is I literally just squeeze them out into a sieve. I run that sieve underwater and I just rub them around and I get all the tomato bits and whatever off. I put them on a paper plate and I spread them individually on a paper plate and I let them dry. I've got all kinds of them over here.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, he can come do my garden.
Right.
Watch out. Watch out. So all I do is
Too bad he
label
can't
it.
come from Canada to here.
So you just take a Sharpie marker, label it, spread them out on the paper plate, and I got to harvest all these. So what I'll do is I'll just wiggle the plate a little bit, and then I'll scratch them with my fingernails, and they'll all just come loose, and then I just store them in paper envelopes. These are, so these are purple grape tomatoes.
Wow.
I'm going to be giving some of these away. These are some of the seeds that one of my gardening neighbors gave me a tomato plant, and I've never seen them, but the tomatoes are like a dark, almost black purple color. They're beautiful. So I've got a whole bunch of seeds to give away. And Loretta, I have not forgotten about your alma paprika seeds either. I've got them over there. You want some, KP? Yeah, no problem. You can have some of these too. Sure. What I'll do is I'll put something on my community page when I have them all sorted and bagged up and ready to go. And then we'll figure out a way to get addresses and stuff. I got to look to see whether I can ship you guys seeds across the border. I can ship them across Canada. I don't know what happens if I try to ship you guys seeds across the border. So I'll have to look into that. So, but if I can get you guys seeds across the border, we'll put them in little envelopes or whatever, and we'll ship them out. We'll figure out a way to get that done. Hey, thanks, Pete.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Thank you, Green Thumb.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got these purple grape tomatoes to give out. I've got alma paprika seeds to give out. I have striped Italian zucchini to give away. Patty pan squash. I think I have enough patty pan squash seeds to give away. I harvested a bunch of these. They were given to me, or I bought the vegetables specifically just to rip the seeds out. Because sometimes I'll do that. I'll buy from an organic market. I'll buy something that I want to grow myself, and I'll bring it home and I'll let it ripen to the point, like just before it starts to rot, like when your cucumbers start turning orange and stuff. And then I'll just rip all the seeds out, and because that's what you want, right? You want that fruit of that vegetable, cucumber, tomato, whatever. You want that fruit to be just before it starts to rot when you take the seeds out, because just like in nature, right? That's why these seeds are in these plants, because the seeds will grow in that fruit like a tomato. The tomato will ripen on the plant. It'll eventually get overripe. It'll fall on the ground. It'll start to rot, and those tomato seeds will just spread into the soil. And that's when they're at their most fully developed. So that's why with all of my seeds, I wait till like the very last minute to start pulling seeds out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good, KP. Yeah.
Hey,
sure. I'll
Green
let
Thumb,
you guys
have you
know.
ever seen?
Ever seen what?
Sorry about that. Have you ever
No
seen
problem.
a green bell pepper, not paper, a green pepper growing another green pepper inside of that?
I have. Yeah. This summertime, I had a few of those. I had the best pepper harvest I have ever had in my life. I was harvesting green peppers this big off my plants this year. Huge. Can you let the dog out, please?
Wow.
Find out what he's doing. Yeah. So yeah, I've had green peppers growing inside other green peppers. I've had green peppers that have ripened red and open those up, and they've got a little tiny baby green pepper, like a little parasite growing in the center. Yeah. I tend to grow a fair amount of peppers every year. This year I grew, I don't even know. So we've got 5 pounds, 5.5 pounds plus 4.9 pounds. That's just one spot. 3.5 more pounds of jalapenos over here. This says I have 19.8 pounds of green peppers here. Plus I had house peppers that I grew up here. Another 5 pounds of house peppers. So I grow a lot of peppers because they've got a lot of purpose. My kids don't like them a lot. I only grow, for the most part, though, jalapeno peppers for a hot pepper because my kids will not eat spicy food. So because I'm a single dad and most of the food I'm cooking is for me and the family, I can't make it spicy. So, but green peppers, I can incorporate into lots of dishes. Plus, I dehydrate a lot of green peppers. I have, the really big Ziploc freezer bags? I have probably 8 of those stuffed full of diced green peppers in 2 freezers in my house. And this weekend, I'm going to start running them through the dehydrator because I need to get them out of my freezer. So,
I know. I like making stuffed green peppers for the family. I don't eat them, but I'll take rice, brown rice, hamburger meat, and some other stuff and make stuffed peppers. And peppers, I went to go get some to make some this weekend. They're 99 cents, one little bitty pepper you can't do nothing with.
Yeah.
So
peppers are
I ain't doing that
peppers are
until I grow my
$4.99
own.
per pound of green peppers here.
Wow.
Yeah, $4.99 a pound for green peppers. It's $5 for
I'm telling everybody now, grow your food.
Grow your food. Start buying your seeds now. Even if you don't have a garden at your place, you can grow
I've seen it before.
You can rent spots in a community garden. Like I'm doing 1,600 square feet of garden, and it cost me $250. If I pull in, let's say, 1,500 pounds of food out of my garden, a conservative 1,500 pounds of food, at $250 cost me plus my time and my labor. What is that? What would all that food cost me in a grocery store? Thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know what went into my food. No, there's no pesticides, no chemicals. It's about as organic as you can possibly get, right? Besides airborne contaminants and stuff that I can't control. So it's important that everybody really grows food this year. Even if you're on a balcony. My Carly Simon, you guys may have seen her in chats. She's in BC and she has a balcony and it's north facing. The worst possible thing. And she grew all kinds of stuff on her balcony this year, except the squirrels got up there and chewed up her zucchini and stuff, which kind of sucks. How many pounds?
Oh no.
Hoot, I'm really not sure. I have to tally up that big disaster that you see here, and it's going to take me probably half an hour to tally it all up and then get it in a format where I can kind of break it down for you guys. I'm gonna guess about 1,000 pounds, but I might be wrong, right? And there was a lot of wastage from my garden this year. I had buckets and buckets of food that was spoiled, and anything that got spoiled, I didn't count it in that total, because that's just stuff that we brought into the house and processed down or ate fresh. Like I was literally filling up my big tall green recycle bins, and I was using 5-gallon buckets at a time to throw produce into there that had gone bad because I had so much growing. And in my kitchen, I mean, you guys in the fall, I know some of you guys watch my videos of my harvests in the kitchen. One day I brought 200 pounds of food home in one day. It filled up my entire kitchen floor. I couldn't even use my kitchen table. And I work full time. So trying to process down that amount of food, it became a nightly thing, right? Like I was grinding hard daily. Yeah, dehydrating a bunch, Loretta. Awesome. Yeah, dehydrating food is amazing. I have a pantry over there that is loaded with dehydrated food. If you guys ever want to see a video on my dehydrated food pantry, I can do that for you. It's I had to leave half of it up at the homestead when I left. The ex has it, so I hope she's enjoying it. Honestly, we grew it together, so I left her with half, and I still came home with a full pantry loaded with dehydrated stuff. People in
Oh.
Iowa can no longer buy meat, bread, or beans with food stamps. What?
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me. How are you supposed to buy meat? If you're on food stamps, how are you supposed to get the money to buy meat?
Wow.
Yep.
That's not cool.
Mm-mm. It's getting
This
ridiculous.
is it, guys. We have to become
I guess you
self-sufficient.
can't.
I grew potatoes in buckets. It didn't produce, so I did it in a raised bed, but the potatoes were small. Any suggestions on how to make them bigger? When you plant your potatoes, plant them at least 8 inches under the ground. When you dig your trench, fertilize them with lots of compost and a high nitrogen fertilizer at first, because you want, at first you're not going to grow a potato, right? It's going to just grow the plant. So for the first 3 weeks or so, you want that plant to be like thriving on lots of nitrogen rich fertilizer. So you can use chicken manure, you can use compost with an added nitrogen boosting fertilizer. You want them at least 8 inches under the ground. They say you should hill your potatoes. Where I grow my potatoes, I don't have the option of hilling them, but you should at least hill your potatoes at least one time a season, even if that means you bring in compost and you hill them up by an extra 3-4 inches. But you see these people growing potatoes in boxes, and they just keep adding soil and adding soil and adding soil. Don't do that. Save yourself the headache. I promise you, you'll do much better either having them in the ground or a potato tower. Don't use those potato boxes. For the most part, it's nothing but a massive scam. Because there's two kinds of potatoes, right? Just like tomatoes, you have determinants and indeterminants. An indeterminate is like an indeterminate tomato. It'll keep growing out of the top. And a determinate it's called a determinate because it reaches a set size and then fruits. So if you try to grow a determinate potato variety, you're just going to bury your potato in soil and nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to grow an indeterminate potato in a potato box, every time you put more soil in that box, you're stressing that plant out, right? Because now you've taken its ability to do all of its photosynthesis in the sunshine, right? And then you've essentially just buried it in soil. So you've essentially stopped its growth until it can break through the soil, spread more leaves, get enough leaves out there to get enough photosynthesis, because now every time you've done that, you've made the stem longer. You're trying to grow potatoes. In theory, you're going to grow potatoes all the way down that stem. But if you keep stressing out that plant by adding more and more soil, you're essentially just suffocating the plant, its whole growth cycle. So I've done a lot of research on that whole wooden potato box thing. And no one I've watched, no one I've found can seem to make it work. And you'll get all these YouTube ads and, oh, you should try these potato boxes. Just don't. So I have done potatoes in recycle boxes and buckets. I've done potatoes in compost. I've done potatoes in a hugelkultur mound. I've done potatoes in a potato tower. And I've done potatoes directly in soil. The hugelkultur mound potatoes did okay, except the rabbits decimated them, and that's hard unless you can fence in your area. But essentially, if you mound up your potatoes once, keep them watered because there's a lot of greenery on there. About halfway through summer, fertilize them with sulfur because that's going to help with a bunch of different things that happen with potatoes. And figure out whether you're going to plant a early, mid, or a late potato, because every type of potato has a certain date of maturity time, and after that time is up, your plant is just going to fizzle out anyways, right? So you can grow really, Logan. You can't be. Oh, okay. So you really want to figure out your days to maturity on your potatoes too, like whether you're growing Yukon Golds or Russets, and leave those potatoes in the ground until your beautiful green potato foliage has just flopped over and they're yellow and the leaves are all going brown and crappy looking. And that's when you want to harvest your potatoes, because at that point they're not growing anymore. So keep them fertilized, get them at least 8 inches under the ground to start with. That's also going to keep it's also going to keep the critters. Logan, you can't be there. I don't care. You can't be on camera. Yeah. So does that answer your question? I think I covered most of the bases. Yeah. I grew 5 kinds of potatoes
Yeah.
this year.
I
I did 5 kinds of potatoes.
Mm.
What was that, cat lady?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to
Yukon
turn
Gold.
3 just into corn.
You want what?
Sorry. I want
No
to
problem.
turn 3 acres just into sweet corn. How many seeds do you think I'm gonna need?
You know what? I'm really not sure. There would have to be like you guys in the States, we don't have them up here, but in the States, you guys have extension offices. Because I've never grown corn large format. I've only grown a few cobs of corn out in my backyard. So, but if you call your extension office and you tell them I want to plant 3 acres of sweet corn, they'll be able to literally pull up a chart for you and tell you how many seeds you're going to need, or how many pounds. It's probably in the poundage by that point. How many pounds of seeds you're going to need to grow? Because
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you, because I guess a lot of it would depend on. Are you using a machine to plant them for you, like a seeder?
No. No.
Are
I have to
you
do
just
this
gonna
by
trench the
shovel in
hole?
hand and
Shovel in hand, yeah.
yeah.
I really have no idea. Like, I've never grown corn large format. But like I said, call your extension office, and they'll have all that information. That's one of their like mandates, is that they have all of this farming information for their population in their geographical area. So you can call them, and they'll be able to tell you. I don't have a
And
resource like that in Canada.
they won't
I have
ask
to do
you
all my own research.
for your address then.
What's that?
They won't ask you for your location, your name, your address. I don't want nobody to know where I live or
No,
how
I
much I'm
I don't
planting.
think, no, they're not like that. You just tell them, because they're in your like actual general area. There'll be one in a rural area near you, or maybe at a university in a city within a couple of 100 miles or whatever. But generally in your area. So cooperative extensions are awesome, so helpful. Even test your pressure cooker for free. Yeah, exactly. They do all kinds of stuff. Some people send their water there. You can send some of these extension offices. You can send your soil there for soil testing to see what micro and macronutrients you have and what you're lacking, so you know what you need to apply to your soil to bring up whatever nutrients you're lacking, or amend it with whatever acid or base to alter your pH if your pH is too high or too low. They have all of this information. It's like a library that you have personal access to as a taxpayer in your area.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no
You
problem. Yeah. I wish we had a resource like that here.
you'll probably have to call your county extension office. They can probably tell you. If not, the 4-H extension office should be able to.
Well, I'm in Ontario. Those don't exist here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 to 5 acres of corn every year. That'd be a good amount of profits on a couple acres of corn.
Yeah.
You can order trees and plants. I even brought them in a hideous emerald ash borer just to make sure that's what it was. Oh, dude, you got ash borer down there? That started here. Some of that ash borer actually started in my city, and it spread to Toronto and Windsor and hopped the border. In my city, we had ash trees that were 3 feet in diameter, and I would say 98% of the ash trees in my city are no longer here. They've all been cut down.
Huh.
Yeah, emerald ash borer is brutal.
Oh,
if you have green ash on your property, chances are it is only a matter of time before you'll get ash borer on your land, and your trees are done. Don't waste your time trying to inoculate them. As soon as you can tell that you have ash borer, and the way you tell is it burrows a hole like a capital letter D into the bark, and you'll see a bunch of them. If you see that, you have ash borer, and what they're doing is the larva is eating the capillary area of the wood between the pulp and the bark, and they eat that all up. And like you can literally pull the bark off, and it looks like you took a Dremel tool in there and just did all these swirly motions like that. And once they get into your tree, they're done. And the tree after that, and the tree after that, and the tree after that.
Wow.
The only thing after that those trees are good for is cutting them down and running them in your wood stove. Because ash is fantastic to burn in your wood stove. It has a really high BTU rate. So ash borer is a bitch.
Wow. I don't know what I got on this land. I know I got so many walnut and pecan trees.
Yeah, walnut are good. The only problem with walnut is they don't like anything growing near them. They secrete a pesticide right off their roots, and it kills generally everything that grows underneath a walnut tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to eliminate competition, right?
Trees. All them and they hit the chicken coops. Yeah. Yeah, it's the only reason I'm keeping them is because of this. I would love to be able to cut them down because I hate them walnuts. They hurt when they fall.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Big old green walnuts look like a big fuzzy green tennis ball bopping you on the head, falling out of the tree.
Yeah. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And when you try to mow your yard, you're hitting them things and they're flying every which way.
Yeah, that too. Yep. And then if you try to pick them up, they stain your hands black. So I know people that harvest walnut. Yeah, and they'll dry them out from green to that brownish black color, and then they'll put them on their driveway, and then they'll drive over them with their car to break the shells open.
Yeah, I do that.
Now
I
for
do
me,
that.
that's a whole lot.
I'll lay them across. Well, I put mine out in the driveway, and I was like, y'all go ahead and just drive over them. And then when they get to where I want them, I'll take this, I got a shovel that I use just to scrape them up, put them in a bucket.
Okay.
But
and then
I really love to be able to cut them down. I got like 20 walnut. Yeah. I got like 20 walnut trees and 15 pecans.
If you ever decide to cut those walnut trees down, have someone who really knows what they're doing with a chainsaw, cut that thing off fairly close to the ground, and then sell that wood as wood to a cabinet maker or someone who's going to make live edge tables out of it or something, walnut
Mhm.
is worth a
Okay.
lot of money to the right people. Yeah, that's a resource. That's like money
Well,
growing out in your backyard.
well, that's the only ones I found so far. That I haven't been all over my land yet, but that's the ones I found close to my house and my animal buildings.
Is that
And
the big limb that was
it
lying
drives
on
me
the
crazy.
ground that you showed in your video the other day?
Yep, yep.
Mm.
That came down from a storm.
Uh, a fist fight a squirrel for black walnuts and butternuts. We up in Canada here, butternuts are protected. No, or those horse chestnuts. Maybe those are horse chestnuts. We're
I
losing a
just,
lot of our trees up here.
well, I I even got my son built his place. He's got a wild. She's on the phone. I showed her what it was. It was like a miniature peach tree. It's a miniature peach tree, and
Oh,
he's got a few of them, and then he's got a couple of uh what is them uh tangerines,
Mhm.
okay, nice.
and yeah, and he was gonna cut them down, and I told him I would cut him down if he tries to touch them.
Yeah, yeah. Some of those trees,
They're
when they get
actually
older,
tasty.
yeah, and sometimes with certain trees like apple trees and certain other trees, when the production really slows down, the tree's not dying. You just need to get in there and clean up the tree and thin it out and clean out some of the branches out of the center, get some sunlight back in there, and next thing you know, that thing is just going to be raging full of fruit all over again. Unless they just like age out, 150-year-old tree and it's
Yeah,
barely producing anything
it's
because
like
it's almost dead.
yeah. Well, it's just like Granny Smith apples. We got them on our land, and they're
Okay,
worse than
cool.
the walnuts.
Yeah, they'll let you know when they fall on your head for sure.
Yeah, you have to wear a hard hat around here. Welcome back, sis.
That's a good question, Hope.
Is it
Yeah,
pre-planned that Canada lose her trees because they don't want you having firewood? No, we're just losing some of the native trees that we've had here for a long time, Hoot, because of forestation and because lumber's huge up here in Canada, right?
Mhm.
So they're cutting down a lot of trees, and in the process of them doing that, they're cutting down some of the trees that we don't have a large population of, and it's affecting some of the trees. So they're starting to protect certain strains of trees. But yeah, there's definitely no shortage of trees in Canada. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I live in a city,
when's the
a
best
major.
time?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, no problem. No problem.
When is the best time to tap a tree?
That depends. Maple trees, birch trees, sycamore trees. Um, Up
Yeah,
here in Canada, we tap maple
maple.
trees, right? We're like the maple tree capital of the world, and I think they start tapping them when the daytime temperature I think hits 6 degrees. I think is when they start tapping them because that's when the sap runs. So it really depends on every spring, right? For maple tree sap to run, you have to have a minimum nighttime temperature and a certain daytime temperature. And if you don't get that, the sap doesn't run or it doesn't run properly. So the people who run the sugar bushes wait until the temperatures are within those ranges. I think it's 6 degrees Celsius during the day that you're looking for maple trees. But You don't have to worry about that because you still have grass growing, right?
Mhm.
So I
Okay.
don't know what you would do for maple trees there. I don't even know if they would lose their leaves there for you for a sugar maple. I would like because
I
do you even get
I've
winter
not
where you
seen
are?
them lose their leaves.
No. Okay, so you probably can't tap
Well,
your maple trees because your sap isn't running because it's only a springtime thing.
Mm.
Because what's essentially happening, right, is in the
okay.
spring is the trees coming out of dormancy, so it's starting to shoot all that sap up into the tree, so it can start swelling the buds to start producing the leaves and stuff. So if your maple trees never go into a dormancy period, you wouldn't have a spring thaw, which means your sap wouldn't be running like the way it does on a maple bush stand to harvest it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I guess one of the drawbacks. But one of the pluses for you is if you don't get a
Okay.
winter,
Okay.
you
Because
can
I
grow
got
food
some
all
that loses its leaves and some don't.
is
Yeah.
what? Yeah, because we like if you look at out
Some of them
here,
loses
the
their leaves and some of them's not losing their leaves.
okay, it's probably just based on their environmental conditions, right? Per species of tree, I guess. Because I'm not overly familiar with like do you get winter? Do you get snow there at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So
We don't down here in Georgia, not where I'm at.
oh, that I guess that's the nice thing. Like I said, you guys, that means you can grow food all year long in a greenhouse. Keep it
Yeah.
protected from the cold nights when you get them, and open that greenhouse up during the day. If I lived down there, I would literally have food growing 365 days a year, nonstop. Certain
Right.
things slow down when they get cold. But you can grow spinach all year. You can grow kale all year. You
I'll
can
be
grow
right back.
carrots all
Sorry.
year.
It's okay. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
My little
I
fella's
know.
just asking me for a drink.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
I know.
just asking me
Yeah.
if you can come in the kitchen.
I know tomorrow I'm gonna start my first solo small garden.
Your first
So
solo what?
uh small garden.
Small barn?
Garden.
Oh, small garden. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What are you planting?
I'm gonna do some cucumbers, some peppers, some cabbage, and some herbs.
Oh,
Like kale and or not kale, Lord. But different herbs and whatnot.
yeah.
And maybe probably next month after Valentine's Day I'll do some potatoes. So
Yeah, because you can if it never gets cold, you never really have to worry, right? Like if your ground doesn't freeze, you can essentially grow whatever you want, except for the only things you might have issues with is certain things you may not be able to grow where you are, peach, because of like summer temperatures. You might not be able to grow lettuce because it just gets too damn hot, right? Certain varieties of cilantro or spinach might bolt because it gets too hot, but you can grow that in the shade, or you can put shade cloth over top of it and extend that growing too, right? So
yeah.
bought a new type of tree taps last year. See how it goes. That's awesome. Yeah, we I wanted to grow my own sugar maple bush. That was my plan. I even had the seeds for them. But I know
Mm.
taking, 15 years for them to get big enough to tap, but I had lots of time for them to grow. That was kind of one of my excited projects I was really looking forward to when I got my homestead.
Yeah. I know down here, as far as I know, we don't have any sugar maples, but we have silver maples down here.
Silvers, yeah, yeah, they're nice. They're nice to climb trees. They're nice, but yeah,
Yeah.
you really. I mean, You can tap any kind of maple you want. The only
Mm-hmm.
difference is, like I said, your sap isn't going to run because of where you're located, and sugar maples have the highest concentration of sugars, so
Mm-hmm.
you need less sap to make more syrup, right? Because you can tap walnut, you can tap sycamore, you can tap sugar maple, you can tap birch trees, but birch, for example, it's like 80-to-1 reduction to tap a birch tree in the springtime. So you need an awful lot of birch sap to turn it into like birch syrup.
Right.
But yeah,
Hey, cowboy.
birch syrup apparently is really good. Hey, what's going on, cowboy? Good to see you, buddy. Can only grow Concord grapes. Stole them from my parents' house. Way to go. Nice.
Right.
Yeah. You can make walnut syrup or birch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry,
And
I'm
I hear
sorry, I'm
things.
back.
It's all right.
Hi, welcome back. Please continue.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Please keep the dog quiet. Is he? Okay. Well, then send him my way, and I will deal with him. 4-month-old puppies get very excited, and they have very sharp teeth.
Yeah.
That was my
Ouch.
dog a couple days ago. Tore my hand right up. We had a disagreement.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted to know about the soil for grapes. I'm not a successful grape grower. I've tried, but to grow good grapes, right, you need to get that root mass kind of established. And every time I've started grapes, I've had to dig the plants up and move them with me and then replant them and then move them with me and then replant them. So I don't know a whole lot about grapes other than I had them in a lot of compost and they really seem to like it. But generally, most plants will like living in a lot of compost because compost is a fairly neutral on the pH level, anyways. So
Mhm.
your best bet would literally just to Google best soil pH for grapes, and then that'll tell you the pH that you want and that sort of environment that you want to sort of foster for your grapes, and go with that. And then you can do a soil pH test kit. You can buy the little soil test kits from gardening centers, and they're super easy to do. You put your soil in there, you shake it up, you add a little bit of reagent or whatever, you shake it up, and then you stick your little pH test strip in there, put it next to the guide, and then just kind of gauge the color based on the guide. It'll tell you what it is, and then you can just adjust it from there to whatever pH your plants are going to need. Yeah.
Right. I know here or out at
Well,
my
I know
dad.
you could also take fish. Sorry,
It's okay. Go ahead.
Cat
fish
lady, you there?
and bury fish in the soil and let it. I'm here,
Yeah.
but can't you take what kind of fish is that you use? I can't remember that you could plant in your garden to help with your garden. Give its nutrients for your garden to grow better.
It probably really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, the biology in the soil is going to compost that fish down essentially just into its base mineral ingredients anyways, and it's just going to feed your soil. Like a lot of old school Italian guys would dig a trench and they would just put a fish under each one of their tomato plants and grow big ass tomatoes. Essentially, you're making like a composting system underneath your plants anyway. So I doubt the kind of fish matters, but I would certainly take into account the water system that the fish are coming out of. Like if you have um, a pulp and paper mill upstream, you're definitely going to have things like heavy metals right embedded in the flesh of the fish, and then you're going to end up putting those heavy metals into your soil. Some of those heavy metals are toxic to you. They're toxic to your plants. They're toxic to the soil biome that you're trying to grow and expand.
Yep.
But if you're putting fish from a freshwater system, or probably even from the ocean, I don't see why that would even be a problem, because kelp comes from the ocean and it's salty. And some of the best fertilizer you can put on your garden is kelp meal, or kelp meal, the liquefied kelp, whatever you want to call it, the liquefied kelp. And kelp is super high in iodine, and a lot of our soil is depleted in iodine, so it's beneficial that way as well. Yeah. So yeah, I really wouldn't worry about the kind of fish. I mean, you could
Okay, I
even
was
go
wanting to
to
make
a
sure.
river where the
Sorry.
salmon are running.
I have to work tomorrow night and Sunday night.
Cotton on one side and graveyard on the other side. Nice. Picking the cotton. Yeah. But I mean, you could even go to a river in the spring if the salmon are running, and you could harvest all of the dying and dead salmon right off the river as a free resource and bury that in your garden, or throw that salmon right into your compost and break it down into your compost. Because the more stuff you incorporate into your compost pile, the more micro and macronutrients you're going to have in your soil, and you'll just end up with a much better compost as an end result anyways, right?
Are you just on stage or are you live?
Sorry.
But yeah, I was just wondering because you okay? You okay? Talk to your dad's farm.
Oh, me? Cat lady?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We have a technical difficulty.
Yeah, you was telling.
Yeah.
Can now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Out there at my dad's, we wanted to grow like fruit trees and, grapes and stuff like that. But every time we plant anything like that, the ants attacks it. It does not matter what kind of anything we put out there to, get rid of the ants.
Yeah.
The ants eat it up.
Have you tried putting salt on the top of the anthill? I wouldn't recommend putting salt in your garden, right? Because that's what the Romans did, right? They salted the fields and they killed all the fields.
Right.
But if you put salt right at the top of your anthill, especially if it's something like a leafcutter ant that's pulling organic material down into the hole to eat, the ants will pull the salt down into the hole. The salt will go to where they're storing their food, which is growing fungus, and they're eating the fungus. And the salt gets on the fungus, and the fungus gets killed by the salt. And you can wipe out ant colonies like that as long as they don't take back off again, right? You'll wipe the numbers out because they'll starve, because their food source is getting eaten up by the salt and ruined.
All right, I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw a guy do that the other day. Some sort of scientist. He's like, check this out. This is what we're doing today.
So has anybody else got questions?
Yeah, throw the questions out, guys. So what are the ants doing to your plants, Peach? Are they eating them up, or are they chewing the roots out of them, or making nests right at the bottom of your plants? Like, what are they doing to kill them?
They're making, the nest right at the bottom of them, but they're also eating the leaves and all off of them, especially like the blooms.
Okay.
They'll eat them up big time.
Oh, that sucks. See,
Yeah.
we don't have ants up here. The types of species of ants up here that will damage my plants. Worst case scenario, I might get ants farming aphids on my plants, because certain ants will farm aphids, and so they'll protect the aphids on my plants. But I just take a garden hose and I just blast the plants with the garden hose, knock the aphids onto the ground, and they just generally die on the ground. So
Right. Yeah, they all over my dad's place out there.
do you have fire ants out there too, Peach?
We do. We have fire ants and the red ants.
Yeah. We definitely don't have fire ants up here, thank God, because I've seen videos of people with fire ant mounds in their yard and cut the grass and get fire ants all over their legs and end up with those little blisters and little like bumps all over their legs from the ants. You can keep those fire ants down here. My winter is too cold; they'll just die off. Thank God.
Right. I ain't like the mosquitoes down here get big enough they could tote you off.
Yep. Here too. We have certain times of the summer where in the springtime you really don't even want to go camping, because the mosquitoes, it's literally like a cloud of mosquitoes around your head. You can't avoid them. Smoke doesn't even chase them away. It just makes being outdoors rather unpleasant. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the gnats is bad down here too. Whew.
Yeah, we have black fly season and mosquito season, and then once those two seasons are done, we're pretty good for flying stingy bugs, except for bees and wasps. And I just got tested for allergies a couple of weeks ago, and now I have to carry a damn EpiPen in case I get stung by a bee or a wasp again. I have a 60% chance of having to go to the hospital now, apparently. So that's going to be great gardening this year.
Yeah.
But you think that's going to stop me?
I'm allergic to bees too. I got an EpiPen.
You carry an EpiPen?
Nope.
Yeah. You don't carry it?
Yep. Oh yeah, I do.
Carries.
I do. It can kill me if I don't. Oh.
Yeah, because I never had reactions up until a couple of years ago. I would get stung and get that like white hard bump, and it would burn for an hour or whatever and then just go away. But now when I get stung, like I have a video on my channel, and I got stung on my hand last summer, and you can watch the swelling going down my forearm. So my allergist is like, yeah, you need an EpiPen. So gonna get myself a couple of EpiPens apparently.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm just gonna grab a drink, guys.
I had to use mine last year.
All right.
I had to use mine last year. Yeah, I got stung last year in my garden, and it was pretty bad. And luckily, I had the EpiPen with me, and I could feel my throat swelling. So I had to stab myself with my own EpiPen.
Yeah, you got to take certain allergies seriously, you know. And we're becoming a society where more and more and more people are developing allergies, and those allergies are more and more severe. Like, I'm 44. When I was a kid, there was like that one story you hear about some poor kid with a peanut allergy, and now you go to an elementary school with a couple of hundred kids, and there's probably 24 kids in that school with deadly peanut allergies, not including all the other 5,000 allergies that they all have now.
Yeah, my son's allergic to peanuts.
Yeah, that's right, Hoot. When I got stung and I was sitting in my car and I was filming it in my car that day. Yep. So gardening this year.
Allergies
So
are
you
not
guys,
fun.
allergies are no fun. No, no. But for you guys that are starting your gardens, there's things you can start now, right? You can start your onions now. Um, you could start herbs now. Things like rosemary take a long time to grow. You could start leeks now. You could start hot peppers now. You could start sweet peppers now, depending. I mean, even I can start onions now, and I don't plant my onions out till the end of May. You know, so everybody should be. Even if you throw food in containers, we really need to get everybody gardening this year. I think it's going to be because California just got hit with that great big cold snap, and then they got hit with that massive rain flood up until what, a week ago or something. I was seeing video footage with like 2.5 feet of water in some places, and California is the breadbasket of North America. I mean, I buy food from California on a weekly basis at my grocery store, and with what's happened in California, it's going to wipe out all of those plants. That's going to cause a backlog of food in grocery stores. It's going to get more and more and more complicated. Yeah, Loretta, we can't have peanut butter here. We tried to do wow butter made out of sunflower seeds. My kids won't even eat it, so they don't get peanut butter sandwiches. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
That's one thing I have to say about the state of Georgia. We're known as the peanut capital of the world.
Awesome. I love eating peanuts. I'm a big peanut fan. Yep.
Oh, me too.
Yep. Salted roasted peanuts. Just sit there and eat
Sorry
them by the
about that.
handful.
It's all right. We eat them. We take and boil them with some salt, and some of us add some ham hocks to it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and
then,
boil them and eat them.
What? Just take them out of the boiling water and what? Just put them on a table and dry them out to eat them, or do you eat them right out of the water still warm, or what? How's that work?
You can eat them right out the water still warm, and you can even put them in the refrigerator and eat on them for days afterwards.
Okay. That sounds good.
Oh, it is. It is.
That does sound good.
Right. Yeah.
I love it.
As long as you keep the hogs off of them, right?
Right.
Yeah. I sometimes I watch hog hunting videos on YouTube where they're chasing them down in their 4-wheelers and stuff. And a lot of the time it seems like they're in the peanut fields. Time and time again in the peanut fields. So digging up acres and acres of peanuts in one night. Poor farmers come out in the morning and they're going bankrupt. Every night they're losing acreage to wild hogs. Little bastards. Send them all to freezer camp.
Right. They're mean too. Oh, they're mean.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah. I wouldn't want to mess with one. But I guess the nice thing about that is as long as you can shoot one once a month or whatever, you're always going to have a freezer full of pork, right?
Yeah.
Free food. So
that's right.
And in a lot of places I hear you guys don't have a limit on them. There's no season. It's if there's hogs in your field, you can shoot them, which means you always have an opportunity to put food in the freezer. Yep. We don't have that up here. Everything up here has a hunting season to it, or it's protected, or you can't harvest it without having a trapper's license, which you have to take a course and a test to do, which would be beneficial because then that opens up a wide range of food to eat. But yeah, Razorbacks, they're mean. Just get out to AK-47, Loretta, and just start putting them down.
Right.
Logan, let the dog in, please.
Excuse me.
Mama, you don't eat boiled peanuts? Oh, wow.
Oh, I love bull peanuts.
What kind of peanuts?
Boiled peanuts,
What's that?
like I was
Bold.
talking about. Boiled.
Boiled peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a flavor?
No, you take and boil them in water
Okay.
and with some salt.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, you can add some ham hocks to it if
Yeah.
you want to, flavor it a little bit. But yeah.
Okay. And the ham hocks would definitely add flavor. And the oil from all the ham hock fat coming out as you're boiling it.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good.
Oh yeah.
That sounds good.
No boiled peanuts here in Arkansas. Oh wow. Y'all have to come on down here to my neck of the woods. We'll show you how it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different world down there, eh? From what's
Mm-hmm.
going on up here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like right now I have 3 feet of snow on the ground and you guys have green grass.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to wear a toque and gloves and a
Yeah.
jacket to go outside. Can food in a metal can get past customs in Canada? Food in a metal can. Like for example, could you send me spam? I would assume so because it's been like processed, like factory processed. There shouldn't be an issue. They sell boiled peanuts in a can. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the only thing you really can't take across border is plant material. Food, like you couldn't bring an apple from a grocery store down there across the border up here. What else can't you bring across? You can't bring across Kinder eggs. Kinder eggs are technically considered smuggling. Why that is, I haven't figured that one out yet. But you can
Wow.
get real big trouble for trying to bring Kinder eggs across the border. Probably because they've got that hollow spot in the middle and they found too many people trying to smuggle shit inside them crossing the border. That's my only guess. Because other than
Wow.
that, the chocolate's crap.
Wow.
That's wild to know. Has
That's
anybody else got questions? I can't. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no problem. From Germany, 20 years ago. You brought them. You brought your peanuts with you, Loretta? Like, as in you're still growing the same ones you brought? Logan, please let the dog in. Thank you. Do we get all kinds of spam? We get, what have I seen? I think we only have regular spam here. You guys get all kinds of spam, eh? You get like bacon spam and regular spam and low salt spam, and I'm sure Angry Prepper is all over that. He probably has a massive stockpile of spam.
Probably.
Yeah, but no, I definitely have canned meats in my pantry. It's important that you have canned protein, right? Because let's say, for example, I had a power outage and I couldn't keep my generator running to keep my deep freezers with my meat in them, and that meat rots. So I'm stocking meat proteins downstairs. I'm making dehydrated jerkies. Um, yeah, good old spam. But up here, the Walmart brand, which now I don't know this because I have never eaten spam. And I have never eaten like the Great Value lunch meat spam product. From what I hear, the Great Value product is better than spam. Maybe someone could tell me. I don't know. But apparently in Hawaii, spam is like a national dish there. When we hauled corn up to Alberta a few years back, it was worse than just going through normal customs bag check. Good Lord. Yeah, no doubt. because they're worried about contamination on them, right? Be it some sort of fungus or a mold or some sort of invasive insect that might be hiding in one of the plants somewhere. Yeah, they are super strict about that at the border. Bacon spam, jalapeno pepper spam. I bet you that would be good fried to make a sandwich. Right, Logan? What do you think? What? Fried jalapeno pepper spam on a sandwich? I don't even know what spam is. Spam is meat in a can.
Now that was cute.
Yeah, I tend to cook almost all the meals in this house from scratch because I'm a single dad, right, with 2 boys. I do all the cooking here. So maybe once a week something for supper comes out of a can. Like today we had Kraft dinner. But that is maybe a once a week thing. So things like spam is not really on our food rotational menu. I just have a bunch of it just to make sure I have a bunch of it. So, because growing boys need protein. So,
My folks love spam.
pardon me, cat lady.
My folks love spam.
I'll be right back. Okay, I gotta go deal with an animal.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, my folks are crazy about spam. I don't like it. I don't.
I'll eat it. It ain't my most favorite thing to eat, but I will eat it.
I have got 4 little doggies on my lap trying to beat us.
Mama, I'll have to check it. I left my other phone in my bedroom while I came outside to smoke, and I can't get to my bedroom right now.
Oh, look at the doggy. Take doggy.
Yeah, he's getting big already.
He's so pretty.
He's growing fast. Say hi.
Hey there, Bobby.
Hey,
Logan,
dog.
please stop that. Trying to calm him down. He gets
Thor.
excited and he starts nipping at my kids. So getting him calmed down because my kids can't do this with him. He won't cuddle with my kids.
Oh.
Yeah. So say hi.
Aw.
There.
Hey, Thor. I can't say that name too
Wow,
loud.
big
Our
doggy.
fool will think I'm talking to him. We got a full-blooded German Shepherd.
I figure by the time he's done growing, he'll be at about 100 pounds or so. I got him for my son's 11th birthday in November. Right, bud?
Wow.
Hey? Yeah.
He is gorgeous.
Yeah, he's a big suck, too. He's a big attention suck. Hey. 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 What? Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody on camera. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna start training now because he needs to start to learn how to sit and stay and drop it and all the basic commands, because if he hits 100 pounds, there's no way my kids will be able to manage him, right? So
Right.
I need him to be trained enough that if one of my children tell him something, yeah, he's pretty cute, eh? But yeah, so I need him to be trained enough that when either one of my children teach him or tell him to do something, that he needs to do it, especially walking, right? Because my kids do the walking. So if he's 100 pounds and my 70-pound child is trying to walk him, and the dog decides he's going somewhere, he needs to know that when he is told a command by my kids, that that's the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story, and he better do what he's been trained to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Your grandson
Right.
got his
I
first
agree there.
deer. Loretta, that's awesome. How many points? If he's acting like an idiot, Logan, throw him in his box. Don't let him behave like that. We're working on crate training. It's hard. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the
Go ahead.
one of the reasons we got him is he's half border collie, and eventually we're moving back to a homestead. And I wanted a breed of dog that was smart, good with kids, and also able to deal with homestead animals, right? Because we're going to get chickens and ducks and pigs and maybe goats, depending on how motivated I am to have goats. We're going to have a milk cow, and we have a ridiculous amount of coyotes here, like a ridiculous amount. I am literally in suburbia, right? I am neck deep in suburbia where I live, and I have had coyotes in my parking lot that have killed my neighbor's cats.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I'm not even kidding.
Oh.
I started to tell all my neighbors because the property manager called me and he's like, "Yo, man, just so you know, there's a coyote like just outside your house." So I went and told my neighbors all the next day, and they tried to get a hold of one of their neighbors in my area. They didn't get to her in time, and she has 2 outdoor cats. Well, now she just has 1 outdoor cat.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm like neck deep in suburbia. The coyotes don't care. So when I moved to the homestead, I need a dog that's big enough and capable enough of at least fighting off coyotes till I can get out there with my high propulsion freedom seed sender,
Right.
and address the problem. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I know.
because there's
You
no
can
way.
see the 3 white dogs on my video. Sorry.
Yeah, were those Great Pyrenees?
But them 3 white, yes, they are. And the bigger one don't like my pigs. He'll chase my pigs all over the place. So when I let them out, I can't have my pigs out running around. And then when
that
I
complicates
collect the
things.
dogs out to the rest of the work.
And do your pigs have free reign? Can they run anywhere they want to?
Yeah, they go. Sometimes I want to shoot them, but I won't. But yeah, they have free range of the whole area.
Okay. Now, is there like an
Well,
external
that one
fence that they
video
can't
I
get past?
made, if you can see, yeah, I've got electric fence all the way around my land, and you can watch on my video that Charlotte and Wilbur, they behind me yelling for food, and you can feed them 1 minute, and next minute you turn around, they're chasing you for more food.
In my lunch pail.
And they get on my nerves. I mean, Charlotte, Scooter and Merge was my first 2 ones, and they're pretty big, and they got free range, but they don't mess with nothing. They learn ants. Now got all these baby pigs to leave. They won't make the dogs mad.
Bacon bits.
Yeah, I'm about to turn them into bacon bits. They get on my nerves. I mean, you just seen that video of them right behind me screaming at me.
Because they wanted more food, eh?
Yeah, and then they try to eat the dog food. They eat the turkey food. They eat chicken food. They eat anything you throw down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dog
would it not be
don't
easier
like
to
because
contain
of
your
the
pigs in their
fact
own area?
they eating everything.
Would it not be easier to contain the pigs in their own area so you didn't have that problem?
Do what?
Would it not be easier to keep the pigs in a set area so they can't get to all the other animals' food?
I thought about that, but they'd just break through the boards. They actually can open. They're at the wine where I got the feed. I have put locks on that building. They have buzzed the door down to get in there. I have roped the building off. I got center blocks in front of the doors, and they can still get inside the white building to the feed.
Whoa.
So I about had it.
That's,
I mean, if I could find a good home for them two would be gone.
yeah, they become problem animals, eh?
Right, sis?
Especially
They
when they're
waddle.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know
They're
they
really
call them
trouble because they call them what?
yeah, they're called pigs for a reason, right? They'll eat as much food as they can get their faces into.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe a little bowl sitting on the ground so I can get a bigger bucket. Stealing the eggs out of the bowl.
They're stealing the eggs out of the bowl. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see
Hey.
that's when they're messing with stuff at that point, eh? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, I love my animals, and I've got a no-kill farm, but this is
So since you have a no-kill farm, if you have problem animals on your farm, what's the process? Do you just get them to go to someone else's farm, or what? Like, what do you do with problem animals? Because I know on my farm we've already made the decision that if we have problem animals, aggressive animals, they don't last, and they won't last. Because I have kids around, right? And I cannot tolerate an aggressive animal on
right.
my farm and risk injuring my kids. So,
Exactly.
but
Exactly. Well, see, with me having a no-kill farm, I would find another rescue farm, see if they could take them, and if not,
okay.
I'll just have to figure out a heavy fence to put them in.
So at no point would they end up going to freezer camp to feed your other family members then? Even if they were like a problem animal?
No.
Like something
No.
that had to be addressed? Okay.
No.
So you would just
No.
take all
I would
the
find a
extra
way
steps
to.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I would never go that route. But you know, me and you have
like bigger, heavy fence.
a bigger, heavy, yeah, chain link fence buried in the ground.
Right.
But hot wire fence at 10,000 amps will light those pigs up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yep. Now, I did teach them to not go to the electric fence. So now they're kind of scared to go around any fence. So if I can get another fencing, put their little Bert and Charlotte, them the only two troublemakers. And if I can put their butts in it, then everything there be happy. You know, all the animals that have their own food.
yeah. And then you wouldn't have to feed the animals twice because the pigs got into their feed and cleaned their feed bowls out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, let's face it, you're
Right.
not feeding a small amount of animals on a daily basis either.
No.
No,
No.
I'm not.
Did you get your llamas yet?
I'm not. I eat more every day. No, not yet.
No,
I'll know about them tomorrow.
Do they need a special kind of
But
pen? Do you pen
I
them up
just
like
had
you would
another
horses?
cow born today.
Ah,
Yeah,
awesome.
you just do them the same way as horses.
Okay.
And you can let them free roam too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with the horses, I'll let them run around with the horses.
That sort of makes sense, right? They're the same kind of animal, you know, long-legged, that sort of thing. Lammas. That would be an
Right?
interesting
Yeah,
addition to the
they
homestead
are.
for sure.
Well, they're in the same connection family. Yeah, and they're
Okay.
protectors too. If you watch, a lot of farmers that get llamas, patients, they will go up against a herd of coyotes. They will kill a
Yeah.
pack of coyotes.
Kicking them, eh? That's why a lot of farmers get donkeys too. Same sort of thing. Because a donkey doesn't give a shit.
I don't.
A donkey will bust you up.
Right.
Cat lady, I'm
Right.
gonna
The
have to
donkey
jump off
will
here.
tire.
Sorry.
All right, hun.
I'll
It's
talk to
okay.
y'all later. I love y'all. I gotta go eat.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say the same thing. I am
All
starving.
right, honey. We
Had
love
a
you.
long day at work. I didn't eat
Love
all my
you.
lunch because I had
Yeah.
truck problems today. And oh, bye, Peach.
Oh yeah. I've been stuck on the side of the highway a long time, and then at the place get hers,
Yeah,
and now I
yeah.
got to go back tomorrow.
You got to go all the way
But
back
is
there
anybody
tomorrow.
else
That
got any
3-hour drive.
questions? Because we're going to have to get up here. Yeah, I got to go all the way back to it because they overcharged for something I did not want.
Oh, great. That sucks that you have to
Yeah.
go all that way. Is the financial expenditure and the fuel worth going back to deal with whatever they screwed up that they overcharged you on?
Yeah, they overcharged me $200, $200.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah, I got to
that's a
go
lot of money
back
these days.
because that's way too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And for something I didn't
Um,
want, they got to make it right because
That's true. You know, I hold businesses to account all the time. All the time, I watch all my bills, I watch prices, because it just seems like every single business that's out there these days is just trying to scam you. It's everywhere. Smaller
right,
product, changing
right.
prices.
Get less, pay more.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way
Yeah,
I see
get
it.
less,
Get less,
pay
pay
more.
more.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. The only thing that's better now is that they put
But
enough hot dogs in a package of hot dogs to fit a whole package of hamburger or hot dog buns. So they changed that out. So at least there's that.
yeah, that's the only thing. If you eat hot
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, I don't eat hot dogs. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I can't stand
me
hot
neither.
dogs. It's
I
knowing what
see.
goes into them,
I
right?
seen how they're made. Yeah,
That's
yeah. I
exactly
seen
why
how
I
they were
don't eat them.
made, and I was like, nope,
Yep, done. I was watching
nope.
how it was made one night, the show, and I saw them making hot dogs, and they poured this big blob of gray goo right onto the floor from a wheelbarrow, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna turn that into hot dogs," and I'm like, "And I am never eating hot dogs again."
Right, right. I seen that same thing. But John, I really appreciate you being up here and telling us stuff and helping us out to get a better knowledge of how to garden. And I'm telling everyone, you need to grow your food now because the stores are
Yes,
not going to produce it for you.
that's right. That's right. I agree
And
100%, guys. I'm pointing at all of you in the chat right now. Every single one of you, I'm pointing a finger. grow your food. Start now. Get your seeds. Yep. You
Yep.
over there. Yep. You in the corner. I see you. Start growing your food.
I
Thanks
love
for having me on,
that.
Cat Lady. This was fun. We should definitely do this again, eh? Like I'm available. My weekdays are really busy, but I'm a lot more
Enjoyed
wide open on
it
weekends. So
so
if you want to
much.
do this again, we'll set this up in advance again. Give me a couple of days notice or whatever so I can move stuff around if I need to. And we'll gladly do this because spring is coming, and there's people in our community that are new to the community and they're starting to realize that things are going to hell at the grocery store and they've never gardened before because gardening essentially skipped a generation here in North America, right? Our grandparents gardened, and a lot of people in the next generation they didn't garden because there was the happy 60s and stuff like that. And then the next generations now are starting to garden again. So there's a knowledge gap that's in the whole gardening community. And I think that there's people out there like this is why I run my channel. I literally run my channel to teach people how to grow better food to feed their families. That's like the mission statement of my channel. So, if you want to keep doing this and we'll help people run
Right,
through
right.
problems in springtime and stuff, let's do it for sure.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a deal. We another person
Yeah,
to get a
absolutely.
better garden, have more food to
Yes.
either dehydrate, can, or freeze, or pressure can. You know, let's do it because I'm all for helping. I mean, I
Yeah.
help the homeless here. I help the animals. I want to get my veterinary license. I want to get my PhD so I can help more out. And
Cool.
I want to grow extra food for the ones that can't
Yes.
grow it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a noble cause, especially with a large
But
garden. With the space that you have, you could like if I had the amount of space that you were growing your garden in, I would literally feed entire soup kitchens with the amount of food extra that I couldn't even put away with what I could grow on land like you have in your garden spaces. So I'm not even gonna lie, I am so jealous. you know. All right, folks. I'm gonna go eat because I'm starving and my blood sugar's getting low. And thank you everybody for coming on tonight. I don't even know how many people we had in chat. I hope we had a half decent amount of people. I saw a bunch of friendly faces tonight. So thanks for coming
oh
out
yes,
and
we
checking
had a
out the
good
live
amount.
stream and supporting Cat Lady's brand new channel. Watch her videos. Leave a comment on her videos. Throw the thumbs up on her videos.
Thank
Like right
you.
now. You go onto your thing and you hit that thumbs up button for Cat Lady because the algorithm's going to see that. I know y'all know how it is.
Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate that. And we will get together and set up another one. And I'm
Absolutely.
definitely interested in one of them boards because I think that would help
Yeah.
me. And I want to tell everybody stay prep, stay alert, keep your head up, and
Yeah.
and get one of them boards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and grow your food because you're gonna need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Grow your food. Grow more than you
And
think you can eat because then you can put that food away. Right?
green thumb step I need you back. And God bless y'all. I love you. And stay safe. And Sean, thank you a trillion billion. I'm
You're welcome, Cat
out
Lady. Thanks for
of
having me on,
life.
hon. It was good. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.